Mando Season 3, Episode 5, guys. Welcome to the breakdown. And this episode, I mean, it was something we saw in the trailers, and there's a lot of awesome action in it, but what I'm most grateful for, believe it or not, is at the end of the episode, or by the end, it feels like we're finally really ramping up a gear for the final 3 episodes. I mean, sure, we've had it in previous episodes, but kind of like after the big kind of chunk of somewhat side story, then addressing the main plot at the end, and then the next episode we somewhat do that again. And now it's like, okay, considering we only have 3 episodes left, you have to think that the final 3 will be pretty damn badass. So go ahead, guys, and like this video if you do go on to enjoy it. I'd really super freaking appreciate that. Helps me out there with the Star Wars content, get some new Star Wars fans in here to discuss this with us. So right at the beginning, we have the Pirate King return, Gorian Shard, and I think we all knew that he would come back, and his little salty pirate who actually ended up running away, so I'm sure he's going to come back again in the future, probably a future season. And he's getting revenge for essentially those ships being shot down. He's being a pirate, so essentially he wants to take over Navarro. And I quite liked how they, with these pirates, if you will, they literally did depict some pirate-ism. So like the Corsair ship actually looked like we had cannonballs coming down on Navarro City or from either side of the ship. And since Navarro is pretty defenseless, they should maybe look into that. So despite being an independent planet, he had no other choice but to reach out to a New Republic contact, and that is none other than Captain Carson Teva. And I really, and did anyone expect this? It was pretty damn awesome seeing none other than Zeb speaking to him in that little New Republic bar / cantina place. Now, if you guys don't know, even though I'm pretty damn sure all of you do, Zeb is a character from Star Wars Rebels, one of the main characters, a part of the freaking Rebels crew. So seeing him in live action was pretty odd, but really satisfying. So I don't know if this is just going to kind of be a one-off thing, or maybe we will see him further down the line. We had Carson say, forward this to the New Republic and request permission to intercede, and what Zeb said is that they're swamped. They'll never answer in time. And this is highlighting the kind of situation we see with the New Republic in this Star Wars current timeline, and how they are kind of pretty useless. I like how we got into it with Dr. Pershing and seeing how kind of shady the New Republic can be at the same time. And in this episode, we see how they're just basically pretty negligent, and they don't care about you unless you're a part of the member worlds, which, you know, in one way I can kind of understand, but they're still like, we can't leave them defenseless. But even if they were part of the member worlds, I still think they would be pretty damn useless, because it's like, Navarro, you know, one main city on there seemingly to us, the audience, and in this episode there's only around 40 people that we could see. I actually quickly counted, and I was like, damn, is there much more to this planet? So yeah, the New Republic probably look at that and it's like, yeah, but we don't really care. But either way, when we saw Carson Teva go see Colonel Tuttle, I believe his name was, we saw freaking Eli Kane snooping around the background. Now, a lot of us were on the ball when we saw her that it must be setting up for something bigger, her being a double agent, perhaps for Moff Gideon and silencing Pershing, and amongst Colonel Tuttle being pretty damn useless. She tried to stick her nose in, being like, oh, well, they're technically not a member planet, or maybe this will give them a new perspective if they basically suffer. We're once again reminded that Moff Gideon never made it to trial. And again, I suppose this speaks to the larger negligence of the New Republic, and how, yes, even if they're aware of this, it does seem like they're trying to sweep it under the rug, and maybe they're going to try and pursue it, but ultimately, once again, the New Republic just seemed pretty lousy, and I think this is just going to be them from here on out to the sequel trilogy. They keep trying, but they're just kind of like a kid with too many books in their arms, and it just falls over the floor. They try and put on a good front of that they're the New Republic, hey, we're here to do this, that, and the other, but the more we see, the more useless they appear. So after this, Carson's like, right, gotta go contact the Mandalorians, because he knows that the Mando, Din Djarin himself, is a friend of Greef Karga's, so he locates the Mando covert, thanks to R5 grassing all of them up to him. He says that they can trust this location with him anyway, but at the end of the day, it seems like they're going to somewhat settle down on Navarro, or possibly even entertain Mandalore again. And the next scene we get is of Din Djarin pitching saving Navarro to all of the other Mandalorians, even saying, as per what we were just talking about, that he was offered a tract of land on this independent world, and so maybe it's time for them to live in the light once again instead of hiding in caves and sewers and whatnot. Maybe the Mandalorian people can have their culture flourish and their children can feel what it's like to play in the sunlight again. And obviously a lot of this season is about truly the Mandalorians, you know, rising up in the galaxy again as a united people from once being crushed in the Night of 1,000 Tears, and ever since then hiding like insects under logs. So this seems to be starting off to a little bit of a bad start, especially with Paz Vizsla saying that he fought Greef Karga, and you know, he's had both brothers and sisters fall, and it's like, oh god damn. And I was thinking in my head, but Mando did save your son last episode, so maybe. And then lo and behold, it flipped 180 and it was like, it's time. It is freaking time to lay our lives down yet again, because we are Mandalorians. Let's do this. So for the rest of the episode, it was quite action driven, and you can see especially what they're doing here as per what a lot of people have been theorizing about, maybe you right now watching this video, especially with Paz Vizsla saying these two are asking us to take up arms in the name of a brighter future, and I for one will take up arms to fight by their side. This is the way. So it's like, well, would you look at that? All of the Mandalorian people are looking up to Din Djarin, the Mandalorian, and Bo Katan Kryze. And a lot of people have been saying like maybe they're gonna, you know, be the dual rulers of the Mandalorian people. Perhaps Din Djarin with the Darksaber, Bo Katan with the Mythosaur. I'm still wondering what could be going on about that, because sure, there's a Mythosaur there which is legendary, but don't you also need to have the Darksaber to be the ruler? So like, there's a lot of clarity that needs to happen there. A lot of people as well are thinking that Din Djarin and Bo Katan could get together as a couple. I don't know. Honestly, I really don't know. They haven't really planted so many seeds of flirting there. Sure, you can maybe read into one or two scenes, but for sure, at least in this moment, you're looking at all these Mandalorians and they're looking at Bo Katan and Din Djarin, and it's like, well, they seem to be the ones calling the shots right now. So, of course, it goes without saying that seeing Mandalorians operate, as Bo Katan says, a tight military freaking unit was very entertaining to see for the rest of the episode. I have been anticipating this ever since we saw it in the Season 3 trailers. We have freaking Mando distracting some of the pirate ships with his N1 starfighter. They eventually realize it's a decoy, so they fly back, because we have Bo Katan dropping off units in the streets of Navarro as they're kicking the ass of pirates. Even though there's that one turret moment where the Mandalorians started getting pretty wrecked, but thanks to the armorer and a very kind of, I suppose, deaf pirate, because I don't know how he didn't hear the armorer kicking the living crap out of his friends right behind him, but she managed to stop them all and ultimately take back the streets, and I'm sure the Anzellans had a great time watching all of this go down. After this, of course, we have Greef Karga, true to his word, offer all of the Mandalorians a new home. He says, while they may not have the home of Mandalore anymore, you do have a home here. And they seem to have quite a large section of land, and this is pretty awesome because under the rule of the Galactic Empire, where there was still a lot of Imperial remnants out on the streets, they had to hide. But the New Republic, especially with this being an independent world and not so much of a New Republic presence, because I'm not sure what they would think of Mandalorians, but certainly I doubt they would come down hard on them like the Empire did. They can truly just walk about now, which is an opportunity they haven't had in years and years and years and years and years. So this is what I mean. These final 3 episodes, especially with the whole Mythosaur teasing, the whole Bo-Katan's gonna lead us to unite all tribes of freaking Mandalorians, should really start to step up the notch of Mandalorians having a whole new face to the galaxy in Star Wars, and that is what I'm here for, and hopefully sets up a really, really awesome Season 4 as well. But the thing is about Mandalorians, there's always a lot of internal drama, so I hope this one really does work out for them and they do become united, because one theory that people have been talking about for a long time is, you know, will Bo-Katan, and again, I do need to stress, I'm not saying she's got evil, diabolical motives. I 100% believe that she is in agreement that she wants her people united, but how is this all going to go down? Is it really going to be smooth sailing, especially with that Beskar steel tease at the very end? Will every sect of Mandalorians really want to be united under one banner and walk two different ways? Because that's something else we need to talk about right now, because we also have the armor in this moment want to talk to Bo Katan Kryze. Now, Bo Katan goes to where the forge was in this old covert of theirs, and she starts reminiscing of hearing like the music of 100 hammers over Mandalore. But ultimately here, it seems that ever since the armorer heard about the mythosaur on Mandalore from Bo Katan, it's been living rent-free in her head. And the armorer even says herself that the mythosaur, she was told that they literally only existed in legend. So all of the Mandalorian people knew that Mandalore the Great, the whole mythosaur story there must have been BS or something. Just a nice legend to listen to. But no, what if? What if it's real? This must signify a whole new age for us. And obviously, this creed, as Bo Katan said around the first time we saw her, is a bunch of religious zealots. So they really, especially the armorer, must believe that this is like a whole new wave for them. And the armorer tells her to remove her helmet. And Bo Katan's a bit like, She's like, do you respect my station? He's like, yes. So she removes her helmet. I know she gives an excuse for it because she says that you've walked both worlds. You are the one who can unite us. She brings Bo Katan out to all of the other Mandalorians, and she's still got her helmet off in this moment in front of all of them, and they're all just like, what? What is going on? But once again, she explains to them the reason for this, guys. Like, the reason, even though we've got like a whole really strict creed, and basically if you take your helmet off, you're an apostate and you are no longer a Mandalorian. And they made that pretty clear. It's like, Bo Katan, don't forget the line, have you taken your helmet off since bathing in the living waters? No, I haven't. Oh, then you are Mandalorian. Like, but why ask that question if it didn't matter in the first place? If that makes sense, if she can walk both ways. So either way, she pitches to all of them. She can bring all the tribes together. It's time to retake Mandalore. I get the spirit of this because, you know, they're coming together. There's more Mandalorians here. They've got their own plot of land. Everything is boosting up maybe to like Mandalorians having a new age of, well, Mandalorians. But I don't know, guys. This felt just a teeny bit iffy to me, and I'm talking about the helmetless thing. Just because if you're in the Creed, you're a part of the Creed, and I know people got a comment saying, but she walks both ways. But it's like, well, Din Djarin has technically not been a Mandalorian for a hot minute, you know, and he had to go to the living waters, but he had some time of technically not being one. So does he not have that permission since he has walked somewhat both ways? But I guess you could argue with me saying, well, technically he was still following or wanted to be a part of the Creed the whole time. But the fact that I even have to go through all of these semantics of it, it just lessens the whole, you know, religious zealot vibe of the Children of the Watch version of the Creed, and the fact that the armor is so okay with her. This is the thing. She's technically a part of their creed, their way. Yet she isn't an apostate even if she takes her helmet off. It's just, I feel like everyone should get this option. It truly makes me wonder if some of them are like rolling their eyes under their helmet being like, well, I'm not gonna lie, I've been having this helmet on for freaking so long. I mean, I know I've taken it off for dinner and I gave my face a little bit of a wash, but I'm sick of this. So, like, if she gets the opportunity, can I still follow this way while walking the other way, Mrs. Armorer? Please, 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 please. I'm so sick of wearing this helmet. And before anyone goes crazy at me for being ignorant of what they're going for here, yes, I do get it. The Armorer is kind of, I guess, putting that aside. You know, all tribes of Mandalorians have been separated for too long. It's time to end that. It's time to bring all tribes together for the greater good of Mandalorian kind, to unite, right? But it still feels just a little bit off to me in how that has been such a big thing. People have been, you know, kicked out for that, become an apostate, yet she can be in the Creed and also not in the Creed at the same time. And it just kind of felt like a little bit in parentheses here, hey, there might be a contractual thing. Let's show Katie Sackhoff's face a bit more. We've got Sabine coming in the show eventually. She doesn't wear a helmet, and we want her to be in it a bit bit more. So let's put our whole religious ideology aside. She can be still a part of our really hardcore, way, but also not adhere to our way because she's the chosen one to unite all tribes together. And when all tribes are united together, does that mean they're still going to adhere to their way? Or can somebody optionally both walk both ways while still being a part of the Children of the Watch? Because if not, why not? Because she's allowed it to happen with Bo Katan. It's just this. It's just a bit muddied for me. At the end of the episode, we have Carson's X-Wing picking up a lone ship out there, and it's a damaged Lambda shuttle. The hull was breached. There's records of this very shuttle, and it's classified, and it matches up to the one of Moff Gideon's transport, and it's blatantly an extraction. Now, the most interesting part of this is that when we had the little top of that astromech droid probe go in, which was awesome, they picked up a fragment of Beskar steel, indicating that Mandalorians broke out Moff Gideon. Now, there's two paths this could go down. That they wanted him to basically stick the finger to him because, after all, he was there on the night of 1,000 tears. So, inherently, why would any Mandalorian want to do this for any good reason? To, actually spring him free so he can, blossom again and control all kinds of things. But there is another path that I have to entertain. It sounds crazy. Some of you may laugh at it. But we did hear that those who followed Bo Katan went off around the galaxy to become mercenaries. They're mercenary Mandalorians. Now, what if, and this is crazy, what if Moff Gideon was sprung free by Mandalorians, the mercenary ones? It might not be them, by the way, but perhaps mercenary Mandalorians, and he's actually got them following him. And that would be pretty nuts, because you have all of these Mandalorians trying to make a name for themselves in the galaxy now. They're allowed to live on Navarro quite freely. They're all hyped up about the mythosaur. Bo Katan is out there trying to unite them all together. She's going to go scout some down. But what if there's some out there who are just nah, I don't care about that. We've sprung Moff Gideon free. Now, I think a lot of us would like to believe that this is them just actually taking Moff Gideon to kind of screw him over. They didn't want him to go to trial. They wanted to do things in their own kind of vengeance, kind of justice way. But obviously, springing Moff Gideon free, teasing a story like this, for him to just be in cuffs again and completely captured, wouldn't really be a revelationary story. He's still a prisoner. Do you know what I mean? It wouldn't be all that exciting. It would just be okay, cool. The Mandalorians have got him. So the more interesting route would be if somehow, in some way, Moff Gideon pulled it out the bag that he's got other Mandalorians behind him, which would be nuts, which would be really nuts. I have still no reason or justification as to why any Mandalorian would do that, knowing what Moff Gideon's history is. It's just certainly interesting to consider when you consider the alternative, where it's just okay, some other Mandalorians busted him free, but really just to capture him so they can issue their own form of justice. It's okay, Giancarlo Esposito has come back just to be a role of a prisoner under Mandalorian justice. I suppose that could be interesting, but I don't know. I've got a feeling that this could be playing into the whole continued, just as we're trying to unite the Mandalorians together, Moff Gideon has somehow got Mandalorians backing him. Maybe he's promising them a whole bunch of wealth and Beskar, I don't know, given that Mandalorians have, despite them being a very loyal and fiercely united people, well, one thing that has been pointed out, there are different ways, and Bo Katan's way and those other Mandalorian people out there who were following her in the past who have now become mercenaries weren't exactly proper Children of the Watch. This is the way we wear our helmets all the time. So maybe they're less influenced by the culture of Mandalorians. Sure, they are Mandalorians following a different way, but maybe they're not as incorruptible as, let's just say, the Armor is, or Din Djarin, or Paz Vizsla. They might somehow, and I don't know, this sounds crazy, I don't even really like entertaining it, could be influenced by, they're mercenaries. We know that. They're going out there taking jobs, and sure, they deem themselves as Mandalorians, but maybe they could be bought in other ways. So I would love to know your theories behind that. Do you think it's really just going to be Mandalorian justice, or do you think somehow Moff Gideon cooked up a plan to the point of where clearly Mandalorians were involved in that extraction? So do you think he somehow got them following him, which could lead to a Mandalorian versus other type of Mandalorians fight? But Maybe I'm way off the bat there, but that was mostly this episode. So, all while I did enjoy it, just like all of the other episodes, like I deeply love The Mandalorian. It is a type of Star Wars entertainment to me that always puts a smile on my face. I do feel like the season has been slow, like getting to like the main beef and meat of it, so to speak. And I know that's not actually too unusual from other seasons. Like even last season, it didn't really kick into gear until a similar point. I just feel like there's this kind of discourse going on with Mando season 3 where it's not as relevant as it once was in terms of popularity. And you know, watching the episodes this season and seeing how long it's been taking to get to like this point with, you know, only like a second or two tease here and there from other episodes, it does feel like despite those interesting stories we've got in the previous 5 episodes, it's like, you know, we've only got 3 left now. So I would love to know your thoughts on not only this episode, the theories and whatnot, but also this latest question I leave you with. How do you feel about this season so far? Do you feel like it's been dragging its heels a little bit? Granted that the dragging of the heels has still been entertaining in Star Wars fashion, but do you feel like it should have kicked into gear a little bit more, a little bit earlier? Maybe the main plot that was addressed in this episode happening an episode or 2 earlier. But that is everything, I believe, guys, so I'd really appreciate a like on this video, especially if you got this far. It takes 2 seconds, helps support the channel, helps me grow a little bit more of a Star Wars audience. So hopefully I'll see some more of you guys in here in next week's review. Do consider subscribing if you want to stay up to date with more Star Wars content like this and other content on the channel that I'm sure you will enjoy. But I'm gonna love you and leave you now, so thank you so much for watching. Hope you all have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you fellow Mandalorians in the next video. Goodbye.